Me and Uncle Zerk are challenging ourselves to platinum all of the Borderlands games, the franchise we all know and love mainly because of the villain himself, Handsome Jack. Before Borderlands 4 comes out, and if we fail, we have to get a Borderlands tattoo on our body. Unless I somehow hit 5k subs before Borderlands 4 comes out. Then, I'll just get it instantly. Alrighty, today we're platinuming Borderlands, the game Mycah put me on, and is now one of my favorite games of all time. So, yeah. I'm not fucking around. The game takes about an average of 60 hours to platinum with a total of 51 trophies. Right off the bat, me and Mycah start up a new playthrough and we both choose Salvador. Starting the game, we get introduced to the infamous Claptrap after waking us up from our wet dreams. He guides us to his little hideout and out of nowhere gets his eye ripped out by the abomination you created by flushing your kids down the toilet. After getting his eye ripped out, I trapped my little midget buddy in this corner, starting us off on the best game in the series.
Every fucking time, bro!
And here in this hideout, we got ourselves our first gun, giving us our first trophy out of 51. To start us off with a foot ahead, Mycah traveled us to Digistruct Peak and talked to Tannis, giving us 3 free levels. The way this little boy knows all the tips and tricks about this game makes my blood pump down there. We go back to Claptrap, dig him out of the dirt, and he brings us to Knuckle Dragger, where we give him the finest knuckle sandwich that Gordon Ramsay can make.
Show me you willing!
And of course, we killed him on our first try and snatched Claptrap's eye back. As much as I wanted to shove my day into Claptrap's eye socket, he insisted we go meet his friend, Sir Hammerlock, so he could repair Claptrap's eye for us. Once we started our first main quest, in the first encounter, the not so much of a legend Mycah dies and forced him to gulp my wiener juice. Continuing on with our first main quest, we had to fight and kill Clapton Flint, and on the way there, we met Boom Boom. And in the midst of me hiding my chocolate coochie from those two pubescent teens, we both got to level 5. Once we killed Boom Boom, we blew up the door that led us to the last area before fighting Flint. Here there were a lot of Rack, and luckily, Mycah had a TDR gun. So in this area, we both killed a Rack with a TDR reload, which ultimately was pretty easy. I just replicated your Mexican mother and sniped them like she would with her sandals. Now, before we go fight Flint, we had to kill a bunch of his little sex toys before we reached him. But after a bit of shooting and looting, we got to Flint. And to be honest, he was a pretty easy fight, and in about 7 minutes, we ended up killing him. Now here is where the fun begins. We go ahead and grab a power core and swap it out with the old one in Sanctuary, and for completing that mission, we got the trophy reaching Sanctuary. In Sanctuary, by tradition, the first person we go see is Mommy Moxie. Wait. And the first thing bro does is drink her breast milk.
Breast milk.
I swear this guy has no shame. After meeting Scooter and Marcus, we got into the headquarters of Sanctuary. And after opening the door, we got the trophy for completing Plan B. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's obviously not birth control pills, bro. Once again, this game reintroduced us to Zed and Tannis. So yeah, key pivotal moment in the story. I know, that's why it's in here. As we progress through the story, we find ourselves in Frostburn Canyon, where we traveled back and forth 3 or 4 times to dupe the spawns of a really good starter SMG. And here, Mycah teaches me how to dupe weapons, which we honestly used and abused during the whole run. I only ever used to play as Zero, the assassin. But in this playthrough, this was my first time playing as someone new. He was so stupidly overpowered at the beginning of the game. We obliterated the badass Psycho in mere seconds. After passing through that Psycho, we met Lilith, where Mycah was actually talking good about her, so I had to put him in his place.
Jump. I'm sorry.
Good boy. We gave Lilith some paint she huffed, so she can quote-unquote help us kill the waves of enemies that come after us after reviving her, which brought me up to level 10. Once killing all the bandits and turning in the quest for saving her, she gives us a trophy. Don't get your hopes up. Even though she gave us a trophy, she is easily me and bro's least favorite character in the series. Once we got to level 11, we started the farm for the Unkempt Herald, and honestly, we got fairly lucky. It took us no longer than 20 minutes to get the ones we wanted and immediately dupe them to akimbo them in gunzerking. We head over to the dust to meet Ellie, who is single-handedly the largest organism I've ever seen in a game. We go ahead with her idea of building the same cars the bandits use to infiltrate the bandits, leading us to this little mini-boss, Badma. From there, we head over to Bloodshot Stronghold to save our favorite burnt brownie. But after we see him, he gets taken away by a constructor, taking us here to Bloodshot Ramparts. Once we reached Roland, we had to kill a constructor, which usually takes a healthy amount of time in a normal playthrough. But just to show you how OP Salvador is, we literally killed him in less than 3 seconds, which is honestly about how fast I come just looking at Moxie.
I'm about to blow.
And right after saving him, we turned in the quest with Roland and got no man left behind. Now, for our next main objective was to go kill Wilhelm, who was holding another power core we needed. We went to go meet up with Tiny Tina, grab some explosives so that she can make us some dynamites to hijack the train, leading us to Wilhelm. And as per usual, we desecrated him in mere seconds. We grabbed his power core and turned in the quest. And there right after, this Crimson Raider gets flattened by the meteor Jack snipes perfectly at him. The core was actually a trap set up by Handsome Jack, and once we put in the core in Sanctuary, all the shield defenses went down since Angel was working for Jack. And because of that, Lilith had to teleport Sanctuary away, so we gave her some stronger paint, and of course, of all the people she can't teleport away, it's us, just me and Mycah. Like, she is not all that. But anyways, we head over to the fast travel area, and right before we head out, we turn in the quest and get a trophy pop for completing that mission. Since legendaries in this game are super valuable and strong, me and Mycah were still absolutely cooking everyone with our unkempt heralds, killing everyone so fast to the point where we killed a constructor so fast that it barely even had time to land, let alone create any bots to do its bidding. There is a reason Handsome Jack is the best villain in any game of all time. His sense of humor is immaculate. Like, before me and bro headed to Overlook to slide our way back into Sanctuary's wombs, we headed over to this sorta secret location. I hid myself in the tent while Mycah was dealing with the surveyors, not getting this immaculate footage of a double rainbow that Claptrap was releasing his WD-40 to. Once we went to Overlook, we headed over to the beacon and started waves of enemies coming at us to destroy it, as it was our only way back to Sanctuary that Angel gave us, since she is now working for us on our side after royally anal fucking us. We fought through the simple waves of robots, and once we finished, Jack decided to throw a couple more little sex dolls down, and after making them finish, the fast travel station landed and we headed over to Sanctuary and spoke with my chocolate sundae. Earlier on in the game, Jack stole Bloodwing from Mordecai, and bro was not having none of that. He wanted him back. So with that on our table, we were on our way to rescue Bloodwing. We fought our way through what felt like Jack's whole sperm army and took this elevator down to the courtyard where Bloodwing was being held and started the boss fight with him. Once he went through all the elements, he finally came down, and while we took Claptrap's upgrade and tried to rescue Bloodwing, but instead, Jack blows up the collar around his neck, basically blowing Bloodwing's head off. This really ticked off the chill guy Mordecai, and he was on a revenge rampage for pretty much the rest of the game from here on out. We once again headed back to Sanctuary and listened to Jack try to play the song Bloodwing made.
Alright, sweet. Found it. Alright, this is a song for Mordecai's stupid bird. Minnie. Oh, you know what? Screw you. It would have been hilarious.
Which was absolute shit. But once we delivered the upgrades to Claptrap, we gave each other a high five. And right after that, we go back to Roly Poly and turn in this quest for Bloodwing. Afterwards, Roland and Lilith tell us about their old pal Brick, the guy me and Mycah played in the first Borderlands. They tell us to go meet him for his help. On the way there was a super quick and easy side quest for shooting Face McShooty in his face as he's begging you to do it.
In the face!
So, I made his fetish come true. Right after making McShooty's wet dream come true, we headed over to the Slab King's arena and had to survive the initiation with hordes of Goliaths and badasses. In here, Mycah got his trophy for killing a god Goliath. But other than that, it was just a lot of killing until Brick finally came down and agreed to help us out.
So what you want?
We brought him back to Sanctuary and got a trophy for reuniting the OG Fortnite squad. In Sanctuary, accepting a bunch of side quests before we left, I decided to spend my badass tokens, and after spending a total of 25 tokens, I got another pop. We headed over to Opportunity, the town Jack wanted to be perfect, and we royally fucked it all up. We headed over to the center of town and fought Jack's doubles to get voice logs so Angel can bypass any security measure and impersonate him, allowing us through any kind of cock blocking he decides to do. After giving her the logs of him talking, we headed back to Roland and got another story trophy. Before we could proceed to the second last boss, we had to bypass and deactivate this Hyperion barrier that Mycah died to while trying to make me look like the idiot who died.
You can't just go. Oh fuck!
Following that, we headed off to the bunker, and in here, we started off shooting a bunch of autocannons, and right as we were about to destroy their last one, we get greeted with this behemoth. This boss usually is super easy as long as you're playing Zero, but either way, in the end, we did manage to beat him in about 10 minutes on our first try. After killing him, we head underneath the boss arena and go down this elevator, which was approximately how long my day is, and we fast travel to where Angel is. And this is where we finally meet face to face with Angel, and here she tells us that Jack was using her to charge up the vault key and asked her to help her stop it. We entered the incubation room and fight off waves of Jack's army robots, and around every 7 minutes, we gotta shoot a pipe, bursting it, eventually stopping the flow of Uridium to Angel. And in this crucial moment of her dying, Bro decides it was the perfect time to crack. After Bro finished, we turned in the quest and got greeted with probably the saddest cutscene in the series. Our burnt brownie dies. And Lilith gets captured, but fuck that whore. We head back to Sanctuary, and this time we talk with Mordecai. And after a long ass hour, we finally got our next trophy. In this dark time in the story, since I had no real use for money anymore, I went over to my 13-year-old fat material and tipped her 10 grand. I'd do anything just to get a sniff of her. After finding the whereabouts of the vault's location and collecting these crates on top of this funky little Diddy tower, we head over to Arid Nexus, and right off the bat, we get a trophy for completing the mission for finding where the vault is. We head back to what used to be Firestone, and as we approach Saturn, the little mini-boss, Mycah opens up a chest on top of a bus station, giving us both a free trophy pop. After killing Saturn and the badass constructor, we headed over to this tiny ad computer and collected and extracted the location of the warrior, which is the monster inside the vault for this game. After collecting the cores, we headed back to Mordecai and turned in the quest, and following that came with 2 trophy pops. The first one is for knowing half the battle, and the second for reaching level 25. As we were starting to talk to everyone before heading to the final boss, I picked up a skin Mycah dropped that he already had and claimed them, claiming my 10th customization. Once we talked with everyone, we headed to Heroes Pass with Brick and ran through a bit of time-wasting enemies, like how you're wasting time with your girlfriend instead of locking in, and then traveled to the boss arena. After grabbing some ammo, me and Mycah headed over to confront Jack. Starting the phase 1 of the boss fight, he just creates clones of himself everywhere that can actually damage you, but you can only damage the real one of him. And after a bit of a guessing game, we eventually got him so low to the point where we started the phase 2. Instead of actually dying, he summoned the warrior, starting the second phase of the fight. The warrior was relatively easy. All we had to do was destroy the hardened lava on his chest every time he popped up, since that was the easiest spot to shoot him for crit damage. And the lower health he has, the higher the lava rises, limiting the amount of room we have to run on the floor. He took us only about 12 minutes to kill, meaning we beat the whole game start to finish in a single day, in one sitting. And right after killing the warrior, Jack stood back up. But this time, he was just getting mad at himself for failing so miserably at killing 2 small midgets. And well, this was the end, so I quickly shot him. Now that we beat the game, we still had to get all the miscellaneous trophies. And to make life easy, I went over to buy a total of 5 upgrades from Earl, also giving me more pistol ammo in stock. Now, before we move on, we head back into playthrough 1 and complete every single side quest. First off, we started doing all the side quests in Sanctuary, and after I finally finished the Marcus Shoplifter quest, we got the trophy for completing 20 side quests. Every single time me and Mycah play, it's our tradition to do the Minecraft Easter egg. So, once we got the side quest that took us to Caustic Caverns, we headed over to mine some blocks and kill some creepers. There's no trophy for this, but it's just as important, I can promise you. Mycah, earlier on in the game, when we met Brick, got the Goliath trophy. So once we headed to Frostburn Canyon to do some side quests, he got a Goliath up to Godliath for me to kill for my trophy. While me and Mycah did our first slaughterhouse, we had to go through all 5 rounds, not just for the side quest trophy, but for the one needing us to go through all 5 rounds in a single slaughterhouse. And after finally killing the glitch surveyor, we finally got it. During this stream, we finished all side quests except for one and headed over to True Vault Hunter mode to get better guns for the raid boss Terramorphous. Though we only got 1 trophy today, the stream was about 7 hours long as we were doing a bunch of prep work for the boss fight to make it easier. At the beginning of this stream, I forgot to turn my camera on, but right after we started, we duped a bunch of legendary stuff, giving me the trophy decked out. To start us off strong, as we were still preparing to go fight Terramorphous, we first had to get to level 50 to even have a chance of killing him. So me and Mycah went through the story in TVHM, farming Wilhelm and the bunker until Mycah got to level 50. We started the raid boss with me being 1 level under, and surprisingly we only had to restart 2 times, which in the end took us a total of about 30-ish minutes to kill him, which is probably the fastest time me and Mycah ever have. Once we killed his worm ass, we got a
I'm not taking any damage though. It's all yes.
We turned in the side quest after killing him and got the trophy for completing all the side quests in the game. I initially thought turning in that final quest would get me to level 50, but somehow I needed like 4 more XP, and when I was on my phone while Mycah was getting one of his badass challenges done, he got a kill and leveled me up to level 50. Now, for the next few hours, me and Mycah were focused on getting all the badass challenges done, and once we got all the weapons done, it was time for me to get my final long-range shotgun kill. For probably the hardest, most annoying trophy. There's another little Easter egg of a man named Michael Mammareel, a huge Borderlands fan who unfortunately passed away before Borderlands 2 could come out, so they decided to immortalize him. We had to go and talk with him, and after we finished talking with him, he gave us a gun. Now we're in the final stretch. We had 10 trophies left, and to start us off, we go looking for the Donkey Kong named Bullymong for the first enemy-specific trophy. And next, we had to go look for a chubby. And after about 2 hours of absolutely no luck at all, Mycah headed over to the Halloween DLC, and right near the beginning of it, it was a chubby. So he invited me into his game and let me kill it, finally getting that one out of the way.
Oh my god.
Now there was 5 location-related trophies that were not as bad as we initially thought. We fast-traveled from place to place and looked on our maps to see if we discovered everything. And we got a trophy for getting all the locations in the Arctic, the Highlands, the Urban, the Blight, and finally the trophy for all locations in the game. Now, all we had left was each Vault Hunter's action skill trophies, just like in the last game, but here it was significantly easier. Since we had the Commander Lilith DLC, we created level 30 characters, saving us so much time from leveling up. And for Salvador, we just had to gun Zerk for a total of 90 seconds. For Zero, we had to remain in his deception mode for 10 seconds. For Axton, we had to kill 100 enemies with his saber turret. And finally, for Maya, we had to phase lock a total of 100 enemies, which was pretty easy with her ability to phase lock more than 1 enemy with a single use of her action skill. And with that came the sole reason I trophy hunt games, the Platinum Trophy. Borderlands 2 is honestly one of the few perfect games out there in my opinion. The villain, Handsome Jack, is perfect. The humor is perfect. They finally knew what they wanted to do with the series and absolutely nailed it with their second game. See you in the next one. Bye. Wah.